Hello, all my beautiful people. It's time for another fun episode of If You Give a Dad a Podcast. And I would just like to say welcome to everyone who is tuning in right now, whether you're watching the video version or maybe you're listening to the audio version. This might be your first time watching, or maybe you've been watching for a long time. I'm really glad that you guys are here. And Nick, this is something new that we're actually doing now.
Yeah.
We have one episode so far where we've done video, but now we're going to try to start doing this all the time.
Yeah, we're gonna do the video for intro and outro instead of just the audio. So that way the video listeners can also look at my face instead of just yours. That's what you said that you wanted to do it for, right?
Right, right. Yeah,
Exactly.
you got to give them something nice to look at. So,
Right. That's what I'm here
yeah.
for.
So I'm really excited about this week's episode, we first off, we tried to do another episode this last
Hmm.
week. As you know, it was an off week for us. Scheduling just did not work out. I've got some stuff going on with, my eye and all that. And so I had my eyes dilated one day, and then we were supposed to have another episode with another person, and it didn't happen. And then me and Nick tried to record an episode, just the two of us, and that
Hmm.
didn't work out either because it started sounding like a chipmunk about, you know, 20 minutes into it. So it
It was
was really
such a
weird.
good, it was so good too. Like it was really great.
Yeah.
Just this idea that I've had for a while, and we were finally doing it, which we won't talk about it. And
We will do it
then
again, I promise.
we
So,
will, and it was like a third of the way through the episode. Then all of a sudden, well, the video started lagging, and then
yeah,
like I started sounding like a chipmunk, and then not that my actual voice, it was what it was sounding like. So no one think, well, what's wrong with you? Nothing's
it's
wrong
like
with me.
Bruce Almighty. Was it?
Right, exactly. It was just like that. But l less God people and stuff. But
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, but it was fun. I'm really excited for whenever we redo the episode because
Right.
it was really good and you seem to enjoyed it. So,
For sure. I am excited about today's episode, though. This is one that I've been planning for a while. I've had to reschedule it a couple times because this is just a busy guy. I have on Aaron Coney today with me. He is the writer. He is also the editor and creator of Phantom Force. It's a new comic book that has just come out, and it's kind of loosely based around uh, Justin Stewart from the Blue Ranger from Turbo. And so he's good friends with Blake Foster. We talk about all that stuff in this episode. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I'm excited for it.
sure. Yeah, I'm excited for it too. Really excited to listen to it. I'm going to take a quick nap while you have that interview, and then afterwards I will wake up rejuvenated and know all the information of what you said. That's because
Good.
I pay attention to things during my sleep times.
Because science. Oh.
Yeah. Mystery
So
science
if
theater
you guys are as excited as we
3000.
are, then let's get this show on the road.
Let's go, Jared.
All right, everybody. Thank you for coming back to the show. My name is Jared. I am the host here at If You Give a Dad a Podcast. And tonight's guest is going to be a lot of fun to talk to. I've got to talk to him for a few minutes before we started this, and I can tell we're going to have a really good conversation. It's one that I've been excited to do for quite a while now. He is a comic creator, he is a talent liaison, he is a creative director, he is the founder of Hustle Matters. He's also the creator of a new comic book that has just came out. I believe that he said that it dropped today, in fact. And so I have on with me today Aaron Coney, and the comic book that I am talking about is Phantom Force. Aaron, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm on cloud nine, man. Like so much work went into this book and we dropped today. It was like no more teasers, no more beta issues. Like we dropped issue one. So I'm excited, man. I'm feeling good.
It's awesome, and I have to say, I love it. I got to read it and it was amazing. I can't wait for more of this comic. At the end, you left it in the cliffhanger and it was amazing. And it's going to leave everybody wanting more at this
Hell
point. So, yeah.
yeah. Love to hear that, man. That's actually the first real bit of feedback that I've had. Like like a couple close-up people of mine have like read it, but like you're the first like outside person I sent,
Uh-huh.
a copy to read it. And so
Right.
like I said, this is the first I'm here. I'm excited. That makes me excited.
Right,
'Cause-
right. I mean, it's, you know, people going into this, I mean, even me at first, I was like, oh, I knew that it was loosely based around, Justin from Turbo. And
right.
I know that me and you were talking about this, how people, well, is this, Power Rangers? What is this? It's not, but it's very inspired by that. And I
Right.
love that first line, that first page, how it's like, oh, those teenagers that we're fighting, it's not that. I love that line.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to leave this up to, I was like, let me be very clear. You remember that thing you
Yep.
remember from the
Yep.
90s? Love that. This ain't that. And then like the first page you can see is like we get straight to it, just
Yeah.
with that Power Rangers has never seen, so you can instantly say, oh, okay, this is mature. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mature.
And one thing that you know, I loved that happened a few years ago. I'm sure that you've probably seen this, was the YouTube movie that came out, the short film that came out. And I've
Hmm.
always wanted something that kind of went in that direction. And I feel like this comic has that kind of that feel to it. It has that grittiness to it. You're going to see things that you wouldn't see in Power Rangers here. You're going to see more um, darker themes in this. In fact, he's dealing with things from his past, he's trying to get past it. And so I really like that. I've been looking for something like that, and seeing
Yeah.
this come through is amazing.
It makes me so happy to hear, like I said, man, because that's exactly at
Yeah.
that and that debut, that short film that actually came out like a decade ago at this point, which is
Has it
crazy.
been that long?
How long? It was like 2015. I was working at Dash Radio, and I remember I was the creative director over there, and I remember when it dropped, like everybody was huddled around their desk, and because they knew I knew the Rangers and worked with them, it was
Yeah.
Aaron, you seen this? And like that's all everyone like in the regular world, that's not invested in the fandom
Right.
was talking about, and so that kind of lingered with me, and while I think they added shock value and it was actually Power Rangers and it was only a short thing that
Hmm.
really inspired also, my story. I was like, I would love something in that tone that is written for a mature audience, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. So we're going to kind of start here at the beginning. How did you get to this point? You're doing all kinds of really cool stuff. You've got your business, you've got Hustle Matters. You're
Yeah.
managing some really cool people, and now you're making really cool comic books. What
Yeah.
got you to this point?
Man, it's been a journey, honestly. And that journey started with Blake Foster. Like when I was in college, I got linked up with Blake Foster via my brother.
Okay.
And yeah, who connected with him on Facebook and basically was like, man, you should do some artwork for him. And I did. And it ended up being the prints that he sold at Comic-Con.
Okay.
And and he flew me out to California and he kind of opened my mind when I saw everyone buying up my prints. And so after I graduated college, I moved out there, started working with Blake. And early on, like around those years back in like 2015, 20, we were talking about filming something that
Hmm.
would be like a Where's Justin Now story, right?
Right. Right.
So we were conceptualizing this and we were kicking around ideas. And the fact of the matter was, didn't have the budget and was too new to film.
Yeah.
And so we never really completed it. I wrote a terrible little script. Really, it was just a scene. In retrospect, it was terrible. But back in COVID, I dusted that. I found that and it
Yeah.
got me thinking. And I was like, well, maybe we're not going to film something, but maybe we can make a comic book. And I was getting back into comic books and I was falling in love with comic books. I thought the Power Rangers comics were dope. I have the new Static by Milestone. I thought that was dope. I've read some Batman Beyond stories. And so I was just getting inspired again.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's write a comic book. And so I readapted it. And at the time, JDF, I had told JDF about it, and I had yeah, I talked to him about it, and he basically was like, "Yo, if you're gonna do something, don't don't." Essentially, I'll keep it a buck. What he said was, "Don't make it for Power Rangers." He was like, "I'm not making them another dollar." He was like, "I helped make
Right.
them billionaires." He was like, "That's why I created The Legend of the White Dragon.
Yeah.
I want to do something that's original that I can own, that can be inspired by." And so I got that idea from him. And so I took the concept of what I had written for Power Rangers, and I had a pitch meeting and everything set up, and then I pulled out and I flipped the whole idea, and that's when I brought Malik into it, and he kind of took out the essence of what I wanted,
Hmm.
but dropped it into this new universe that we created, and wrote something different. And yeah, we just been working on it since COVID, man. I brought my boy Nexto on. He illustrated the whole thing, helped me do character design. It was just me and him. So
Yeah.
it's been a 10-year conception and a 5-year execution.
Well, I mean, and it's paying off, because just from what I've seen so far, I am very excited about it. I do want to kind of get into some of like your process and finding these people that you wanted to, help you with this project. What was your process like when you were writing this? I know you said that you had brought in somebody to help you with, and they're the main writer, and you kind of did the editing side of it, So what was that like? Did you guys just have ideas that you did together, or how did you guys do
Yeah.
that?
No, so originally I wrote a 60-page script,
Hmm.
um, and I thought it was good, wasn't that good, right? And so I brought Malik on and kind of told him I would like him to write, and he wrote a page and a half, I believe, maybe 2.5 pages. He wrote like a scene,
Hmm.
and and then he stepped away from the project, and that's when, I told you I had come back to it. And I read his scene, and his one scene was so good that I was like, I have to get you back on this project. I hit him up. And he didn't even remember the project. He didn't remember writing it. I was like, yo, I need you back on this. He's like, on what? And I had to re-brief him
Yeah.
on this whole project. But the way it worked was um essentially, I make decks. That's what I do. So I made a deck of who my characters are,
Hmm.
their character profiles, the plot, and and just got it organized in that way.
Right.
And then I kind of gave that to Malik. And then I told him we have these, he's my friend actually. I've known Malik for about a decade. And
Okay.
so he doesn't live like 5 minutes from me. So I'd go over his house, and we used to do this maybe like once a week on Sundays or something. And we would just have a meeting, and I would tell him, my vision, the story, how the characters would meet, how they would interact, what happened in the past. And then he would just probe me and ask me questions that
Yeah.
he needed to fill in the gaps. And then he would say, well, what do you think if we did this? Or what do you think if we did that? And if it conflicted with the story that I had
Hmm.
in my brain, we would toss it. But if some way it worked, or I was open to changing it,
Yeah.
which happened a lot of the time, then we would do it, and we would just figure out how to weave it. And the thing about Malik that I appreciated was, while he was like a distant fan of Power Rangers, like when we were kids, like many people that'll read, outside of just the fandom that's really invested in it,
Yeah.
um, he hasn't consumed much Power Rangers. And he enjoys superhero, but he's really a director, and he loves movies, and so he pulls influences from so many other genres.
Okay.
And the kind of mantra that he had the whole time we were making this is, um, I want to make this less and less like Power Rangers. Like he was like, I don't want people to even make the correlation by the time that they get done, really reading volume 1, because we have
Right.
a whole plan. So
Okay.
yeah. And with I know it's long-winded, but for our who's next though, he's the artist on this. I actually got him first. And so
Okay.
when I first started it, um, I really didn't know what the process of creating a comic book was. And
Yeah.
so I'm Blake Foster, I manage Blake Foster and as well as do social media for him. And so we posted on his story was like, look, making a comic, looking for an artist. And people submitted and I selected one guy that I wanted to go after because I liked his artwork.
Yeah.
And really was just he was looking at it like a just a paid commission, and he was just trying to get me off his desk and appease me. And it wasn't a collaborative effort. And then I found next though he DM'd me, and he just saw the vision. He was invested, and it was like when I tell you it was like a match made, it was like my prayers were answered. Like this guy got it. He was a Dragon Ball fan, a Power Rangers fan, all the influences that I had. And so we just start peeling back the layers of what these characters look like, and he just start designing and drawing. And so at the same time that he's drawing and we're going back and being really detailed about what these characters look like,
Hmm.
um, I'm fleshing out on the side who these characters are.
Yeah.
And Malik's writing this story, so it was really cool. And
That's
I think
cool.
that's in part why issue one took so long. It was because we were building this universe as we're
Right.
writing our story. Now it's built and we know where the story is going, and we have
Yeah.
issues 2 and 3 and 4 already written and stuff. So it's like it'll be easier. But that first one was crazy labor of love, crazy labor.
Well, I mean, building a whole universe, like you said, you were trying to keep it. I think you said it was Malik was saying that he wanted to make this less like Power Rangers as much as he
Yeah.
can, so you're building a whole world, and there's a lot that goes into doing that. It's
A lot
not,
I didn't think about.
yeah, I mean, there's things that probably you don't even see directly in the comics right away, that it's the little things, the little details about these worlds that make them, um, that much more amazing, whenever you have this world building. You're not just like, oh, I'm going to tell a story. You actually have the world built.
Yep, 1,000%. And it's like Malik always says whether, and that's why he would probe me, and he would probe me to such a deep degree. And he's like, whether this makes it into the comic or not,
Yeah.
we need to know these characters inside and out. We need to, like, when I tell you, like, the off-worldness and how, the origins of their powers and all these things, like, I know these guys' nationalities, I know their weights, I know their heights. Like I swear it's all in there.
Yeah.
It's like I think when people really get into the lore of this universe that we've built, um, they're really going to appreciate it for the original concept that it is for
Yeah.
sure.
One thing that I really enjoyed when reading this is the fact that you are technically telling two stories at once. You're telling what's going on, but at the same time, it's showing everything in flashbacks that's kind of led to this point. And I like that. That's where it starts out. You start out with a very shocking moment, at the very opener of the comic. And then
Yep.
it goes into where he is now. And I love that how you're able to tell two stories at once here like that.
Yeah, man. That's I'm so glad you got that because we were so worried about if it was too complicated, if people are going to be able to follow it that didn't know these characters as well as we did or what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
And and so I drew a lot of inspiration from the TV show Arrow. I don't know if you've
Okay.
seen this Arrow
Yeah.
because it's like he's a superhero that's come back essentially from the dead. People thought he was dead, but
Mhm.
every episode of Arrow, while he's fighting crime in modern day, there's somehow a character or there's some kind of callback to what happened on that island to
Right.
what taught him that skill or revealed who this character is or whatever that related to what was going on in present day. And
Right.
so I kind of use that as inspiration to tell the story. And I'm like, because our audience doesn't know who Dustin is. They
Yeah.
think they do. They think it's Justin Stewart,
Yeah.
but it's not. And so I'm like, I have to introduce them to who Dustin is at the same time as trying to catch them up on where Jackson is. And
Right.
so And I thought as a character that would have, PTSD, essentially because that's what he has. So he's triggered and he has these flashback moments. I'm like, whether he's dreaming or whether something happens in real time, whether someone says something or he sees something, it's like people that were in the army and essentially that's what he was. He was a child soldier. You know what I
Right.
mean? A superhero sounds cool, but he was an intergalactic child soldier.
Yeah.
And so it's like he has these callbacks, and we get to understand why he is the way he is. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's to the point where he has a completely different name. He's like,
Mhm.
I'm not that guy anymore. I'm a completely different person now. And it's because he has to separate, or what I gather from what reading it is he has to separate that person that from then to who he is now. You know, and that's not even saying that there's things in, Action Jackson's
Mhm.
recent past in here, that you can read that, he's still trying to overcome a lot of demons in this, and it's caused him some issues, but I love how he's kind of trying to separate himself from that old life, but it
Yeah.
feels like
Yeah.
he's being dragged back in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting theory. I don't know if that's why his name isn't the same.
Okay.
Um, but essentially, yeah, he has to leave. He had to leave that old life behind.
Right.
And so he's got a new identity, and he really is trying to close that chapter because that chapter caused him so much pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and here he is, trying to work past it and work past the ramifications of that life, even after he's left it, because he's been gone from it for 15 years. So it's
Right.
like
Right.
it's like it's been a while, and I'm still dealing with the bullshit related to it. And
Yeah.
so he
Yeah.
gets dragged into it. That's like the last place he's really trying to be. So as the story unfolds, you'll really see he's actually, he's that reluctant hero. Like he doesn't want to be doing this shit.
Yeah. So there's a character that is introduced right at the beginning that I want to ask you about, and that's Ellis.
Yeah.
um where did you draw inspiration from for creating this character?
Yeah, I love that question. I love that question. So that character was there's two main people that inspired that character,
Okay.
and that um Jason Wilson. He is like he's an educator. He's a martial arts instructor, black belt. He owns like a youth men's program that builds up young men and prepares them for the world and allows them to tap into their emotions and really build their mental fortitude and their emotional well-being. And he's based in Detroit. And the second guy is David Goggins, and
Okay.
people knows who he is. He's a hard ass, but he gets results. And
Yeah.
so when I took those two guys and kind of put them into one, this empathetic, guiding, show you how to be a man, but through this tough love, badass, I've been there, I wish you would try me type of dude.
Yeah.
And it's like it takes a guy like that to be able to work with a guy like Jackson, who's such a badass in himself. And
Hmm.
so that kind of lets you know
Yeah.
where Ellis stands. And then, I took inspiration physically. I wanted him to be like Sagat or Sagat from Street Fighter mixed with like Master Roshi. And
Okay.
so that's what we
Okay.
got.
I
Yeah.
like it. I like that. So I know that you have a couple different covers when it
Yeah.
comes to the book. And when it came to finding, with Original Geek, we have cover artists, and then we have people that do the interior of the book as well. What were you looking for whenever you were finding the people that were going to do these? Because I mean, you've got some really cool artwork on these
Thank
covers
you.
and on the interior as well.
Thank you, man. Yeah, like I said, Nexto, so he handled everything inside the book. All the artwork that you see in the book is him.
Hmm.
Shout out to him. I cannot give him his flowers enough. Like the kid is a monster, and it was like we drew describe the panels, and he just went crazy. And he
Yeah.
would be like, oh, well, I see this as a full page thing, or I see this as a
Yeah.
trifold, or he was like, I want to really take my time with this because this is an important scene, and so he really did his thing with that. So everything in the book is him. For the front cover, um, one of the people that to inspired me visually when it came to this was Tokujé, and he makes these realistic, reimagined concept art of Power Rangers where he makes their suits updated and looks cool and da da da. And
Right.
I really wanted to kind of have that look and feel. And originally I wasn't going to get him to do the art because it wasn't like 2D. It wasn't like a comic booky flat imagery.
Hmm.
But I was like, after a while, I was like, man, he's the one you want. I was like, he inspired the whole damn thing. Just go get him. Who cares? I was like, the art's gonna be sick. And I was right, and I freaking love it. And as soon as I painted my image to him, like my vision to him, he made that shit a reality. It was like a few check-ins, maybe like three, and the cover was done, man. Um, and the back cover we actually haven't debuted yet, and no one has seen it. And
Okay.
so I'm not sure when this interview is going to come out, but the only way essentially you're going to see it is if you buy the book, and it's on the back cover. But it's an art piece that's actually a collaborative piece between me and my brother. And so my
Okay.
brother's an artist, and this is it was special to me because my brother's an artist, and so my comic journey when we were little kids began with him. And and the back is a tribute to my late friend Joseph Mainwaring, who passed from stage 4 colon cancer, and he was a big inspiration for me in comic books and just life in general. And then the
Yeah.
second was JDF, who I
Yeah.
told you the inspiration he had. He was like a big brother, and as well to my brother. And so I really thought, and my brother being one of the only people who knew both of those guys, I
Yeah.
was like, I really want you to touch this cover. And believe it or not, like my brother was really busy and he had a lot going on, and I was gonna get someone else, but the same kind of thing. I was like, man, this is your first comic. I was like, see your vision through, and I pretty much made my brother get on it, and so he knocked it out. He did the two character images, and then I kind of did the rest. So what you see in the background, and then the words, and how I kind of brought it together. But yeah, so
Okay.
that cover's special to me. So um, yeah, if you guys see it, let me know what you think of it. But it was
For
dope.
sure. For sure. Yeah. I'm loving everything that I'm seeing with this. I do want to ask you because I know this is loosely based off of Justin Stewart from
Mhm.
Power Rangers Turbo, and this is somebody that you manage, that you've become friends with. In fact, in
That's
the intro, he talks about how you're his best friend and manager and everything, and how you
right.
guys have been friends for years. What was his reaction whenever? Well, this is going to be a two-part question. His reaction when you brought this story to him, and what was his reaction whenever he saw this? Because I'm guessing he's seen the final product already.
Yeah, and so it's funny you say that. So I'll answer the first question. What was his reaction when I brought it to him? Like he was really excited. He was just excited because he always talked about like, man, if Power Rangers should bring me back. Power Rangers should bring me back. And then the reality of the matter is they weren't bringing him back. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
so I'm like, then they have very little attention given to the character of Justin.
right.
And in many ways, a lot of the fandom, and don't get me wrong, a lot of the fans love Justin and they really love Blake as a person after they meet him at cons and stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Turbo gets harsh love, harsh critics are right.
it
And a lot
does.
of people think, Justin killed the franchise or when that little kid came out. And so I was like, I want to take the concept and flip that narrative, right?
Yeah,
I want to make something cool. And is if Justin was a black belt at the age of 12 and he was as smart as he is and he could keep up with Tommy, he was on Tommy's team when he was 12, and I was like,
yeah,
if he grew up, he would be a badass. And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
he would be Trunks level, like, coming up under Vegeta. And so I was like, I want to tell that story. And so when I brought it to Blake, he was on board and he was like, bro, I'm down. and he's not much of like a writer or a creator, he's an actor,
Yeah.
but I took inspiration from his actual life. And so Morph Gym is reflective of where he trains at GTA. And I
Okay.
meet all these characters that come from different walks of life, and they're all in that gym for a different reason, be it fitness, be it working on anger issues, be it self-defense, be it guys like Blake who are just in love with the martial arts and the art form and want to keep evolving. There's like all these different type of people that are former athletes and are looking for that rush, and people who are rehabbing injuries and stuff and just fell in love with the sport. And
Right.
so that comes inspiration from that. Blake had his pro fight debut, and so making the character an MMA fighter. And then the reality is Blake talks about his real life of being a child actor, and in many ways having his being robbed of a childhood. You know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
and the things he wrestles with, that the I wish I got the opportunity to do that,
Right.
despite having this life that many would dream of. And like literally, you know that there's we pay respects to it in the comic, with the toy he receives, and it's like
Yeah.
one minute he's a fan of this, and then the next minute he's in it. And
Right.
then that's literally just mirroring Blake as a
Yeah.
kid. One minute he's a fan of Power Rangers, and the next minute he is one. And
Right.
then so we were like, what if the concept, what if you weren't an actor playing one? What if you really were one? And so that's
Yeah.
kind of, and so when we brought this story to him, he just thought it was a beautiful blend of him and the character that he left behind. But like we said, trying to flip that and make it cool. So he loved the whole thing. And I actually the turnaround has been quick and crazy, and I haven't seen Blake, and we've been at different cons, and so
Right.
I gave him the beta hard copy that I had printed, and I gave it to him on his to read on his last flight, and so I haven't spoken to him, so I don't know what he
Okay.
thinks of the entire thing. He's I've told him about it as we gone by, and he's like, "That's sick," and this and that, and it's like, "What if you should do that?"
Yeah.
Issue zero, he loved issue zero. Um, but what I've told him of the story, he's excited for it. And he told me, he's like, man, I can't wait to read it. I was all hype, and he was like, I was talking it up at Morphicon, and he was like, I was flipping through the pages. He was like, but I want to like sit down and read it when I'm not being bothered. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, and so there was a couple things there that I want to bring up with what you said. And one is he's a legitimate badass in real life, Blake, you know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he can the dude can fight, and it's people I didn't even realize this until I started looking more into what he's doing now, I'm really getting back into Power Rangers and stuff just since I've been doing this show.
Hmm.
And so, I've been finding these people and what they're doing and all these things. And yeah, dude could legitimately manhandle you, and there's nothing you can do
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, he
So,
can. He's a badass. He's gonna kill me. I'm pretty sure he's a purple belt now in jiu-jitsu, and he's
okay.
a fourth degree black belt in the Creative American Tang Sudo. And
Wow.
so before, just with the Tang Sudo, his stand-up game was great, his kicks and everything.
Yeah.
Now, which imagine a fourth degree black belt on the stand-up prefers to go to the ground, like he prefers jiu-jitsu now. And
Yeah.
so it's standing up, going to the ground. The guy's like, I don't want to call him overweight because he works hard at his fitness, but he's at least like 220, 230. And
Yeah.
so it's like, and he's solid, he's strong. The few times that I go to the gym and I'll roll with him or I'll train with him, I'm like, when I'm holding pads and he kicks and we're supposed to be going 50%, I'm like, bro, if there was no pad and
Yeah.
that was 100%, you would break my fucking arm. And when we're rolling, I'm like, it's just tough. So yeah, I
Yeah.
hate gassing him up, but he's a legit badass.
He is.
And if he went back to Power Rangers, I hope they would treat him as such. But
Right.
since that doesn't seem to be happening, the
Yeah.
Phantom Force treats him as such, and Jackson is a force to be reckoned with for real.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to set the record straight, he wasn't the first child Power Ranger if you count Super Sentai.
Right.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, a- as a kid during that time, I think I was jealous because he got to do it. But now looking back, that was so amazing that he was able to do that.
And,
And
and I think a lot of kids were. I
yeah,
think we all were jealous, but
yeah,
at the same time, what we all failed to realize, which was the goal, it was like if he can be a ranger, I can be a ranger. The kind
right.
of the kind of Spider-Man, anyone can wear the mask concept that goes
Yeah.
around now. Justin was kind of pioneer of that, and he speaks to it in his in the foreword that he wrote. It's like he's like, I get told by kids and parents and pro athletes, like he'll call me like, dude, I just met so and so. And they fucking love Justin, or they told me they grew up on me. They told me like I made them feel like they could do anything, and
Yeah.
like from musicians to actors. Crazy. The guy who plays Miles Morales, I also manage him, Najee Jeter, on
Okay.
on the PlayStation video game franchise, and as well as the Disney XD series.
Yeah.
Um, he even grew up on Blake, and that was like his hero growing up. And like I originally, like when I had Walter Jones, I was like, you mean Zach? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like, to be honest with you, he was like, I didn't really see Walter and them. He was like, I was born in 94 or something like that. He was like, so, or 95. He's like, I came up on Turbo. He's like, when I
Yeah.
went to see Turbo, Turbo was my, and I was like, really? He was like, man, he's like, I definitely remember Blake. That like, that's crazy. And so it's like knowing that he, really inspired us to think we could do it too. Was
Right.
a special thing. And I think people just had to grow up to really appreciate it.
For sure, for sure. And I like going back and rewatching it. At first, I will say the character grew over time in the show and everything. So, but it's becoming one that I'm enjoying going back and rewatching. So,
That's cool. That's cool.
I've just got a few more questions here for you.
Oh,
There
sure.
was a couple things that you brought up at the beginning, so I wanted to ask you this, and I see some stuff behind you there. What was your favorite comic book growing up?
Oh, what was my favorite comic book growing up? I gotta say the Spider-Mans,
Okay.
the Spider-Man comics.
Yeah.
Read a lot of X-Men too. Um, I'm trying to think if there was Spider-Man and X-Men were big for me. Batman. My brother and I would ride our bikes up to Borders bookstore, as well as Time Travelers, which is still there in Berkeley. And
Yeah.
we would sit in the aisles. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, from the suburb of Detroit, and would yeah, just sit in the aisle for hours and read comics, man. And it was always the artwork that grabbed me
Yeah.
first. And I was a huge Jim Lee fan, and so. Whenever he drew a cover or whenever he did the art, I was like, man, I'm buying it just to see what they're talking about. So despite my guy.
Spider-Man's your guy. Okay. All right. Yeah, I see you got the Venom and Spider-Man over there, and then the movie poster. Is that the
Oh, yeah.
first Spider-Man?
That is the first Spider-Man. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I
Kobe.
th- that's probably I will say that I think the Raimi Spider-Man movies are my favorite ones out of all of them. Um,
They're my favorite movies too.
did you ever so I remember as a kid when that movie came out in theaters, did you know they had a novel version of it, like a chapter book version?
Yeah,
And
I
it had
read it.
a did you? Okay, I found it like the local Kroger and bought it. And there was a lot of stuff in there that wasn't in the movie. And
Hmm.
man, I love that book, but I never find anybody who's actually ever read it.
Yeah, I did. And I remember I stopped reading it
Uh-huh.
uh, because I didn't want to ruin the movie because it actually came out before the movie did.
Okay,
And
okay.
and I remember because I remember watching in the movie and then a scene came up and I recited the lines, right? It
Yeah.
was a scene with Uncle Ben. And
Yeah.
my brother, how do you know that already? And I was like, wouldn't you know? So I stopped reading it. And then I picked it back up, to see it was different. So it was cool. I mean, at
Yeah.
that time, it was dope. They had the novel, they had the movie, they had the video game that was based on the movie, like the Spider-Man
Right.
movie.
Right. Yeah.
It's a great time to be alive, man. Great time.
Yeah.
I went to the midnight showing of that movie.
Did you? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try to go to off subject, but not really. Uh, New superhero movie that's coming out, Superman movie. I'm a
Uh-huh.
big Superman fan.
Yeah.
I am going opening weekend. I've told my
Oh, for
wife
sure.
it's happening. I'm going that and then Fantastic Four. So,
Yeah,
I
both
gotta go see
of them.
both.
I have the AMC movie pass, so I'll be seeing them both. And
Yeah.
I'm really stoked for Superman, and I'm hoping, and believing in James Gunn, and that this is going to be a success because the superhero genre needs a win, and we're living in an age where it's hard to surprise people or keep a
Yeah.
secret.
Yeah.
Everyone's so critical of everything, and I just want to bring joy back to it, which seems to be something he wants to do.
Yeah.
And so I really hope it's dope because I'm looking forward to it.
So, how many I know you said you have a couple of these that you've written so far. Do you
Yeah,
have a timeline on how many that you want to come out with for this story?
yeah. So for volume one of this story, we want it to be 8 to 10 issues. Um, and I don't know how long it's going to take us to crank those out. And then we already have the blueprint. And then for the first within volume one,
Hmm.
the first 4 issues are already written.
Okay.
Um, or the first 3.5. Yeah, fourth is almost done. Um, so those are already written. So it's just a matter of having them illustrated
Right.
and completed. And so we're kind of going to be working forward. And so we're on the promotional run for this book and giving others a chance to read. We're finishing up two, and we're shooting for two to come out by the fall, and three. We would love to say Christmas. That is our goal. It might be an aggressive one, but that's
Yeah.
our goal. If not, as soon as we can after that. Um, and it's so crazy to me, man, because when people were buying issue zero, which is just the first 10 pages,
Yeah.
and I knew what the first 30 pages looked like, 30 plus pages, I think it was so hard for me. And now I'm promoting issue one, where
Yeah.
I know what issue two looks like, and then issue two is like half drawn, so I actually know what it looks like. It's dope. And then
Yeah.
issue three is written, but from a story standpoint, that's the best one. So it's so crazy for me because my team and I are getting better and better at this. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's like I really want the audience to stick with us. And it's like we're so independent and this is our first time doing anything, but it's like we come from a real a place of passion. And it's like for me, growing up just like all of you guys, reading comic books, watching these shows and these 90s animated series, and then I have the unique privilege of knowing the creators and the actors that uphold them, and then
Right.
I also travel with them and meet all the thousands and thousands of fans around the world
Yeah.
that give me feedback of what they want in this story or what they wish they would have done with Turbo or where they think Justin will be now and all these theories. And so it's like I'm just this melting pot of knowledge, and I channeled that all in my own desires and things that I would do
Yeah.
into this book. And so it really is feels like a by the fans, for the fans, by the fans type of thing, because I'm really one of you guys that just got to be on the other side of it now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So if people want to get their own copy of this, how can they do that?
Man, they have to go to phantomforcecomic.com. Um, that'll take you right to where issue one is through the Hustle Matters portal.
Hmm.
Or they gotta find Blake and I on the road at Comic Cons, and we have quite a bit coming up. So we'll be bringing those with us, selling them in person, signing them.
Okay.
But if you don't want to wait, hit that phantomforcecomic.com.
All right.
Unfortunately, we're not doing any ebooks or any digital books. We're
Uh-huh.
trying to preserve physical media and really bring back that kind of feeling I had when I just picked up and flipped through a comic. You know what I mean? I
Yep.
don't just want you to swipe through it real quick or share the link with someone. It's like I want you to hold it. I want you to store it with the rest. If you see us at cons, we'll sign it for you. A lot of people like it's crazy. People have gotten issue zero signed and graded. Like I've seen my
Oh
own comic
wow. Okay.
and the thing, and it's just a testament to people believing in it. And they were like, I asked the fans, I'm like, dude, it's just Indian. He was like, bro, this is the next thing or the next static or the next whatever. He was like, this is gonna be a collector's, and I'm proud to own. I know people that bought two, one to read and one to grade and have.
Yeah.
So the hype is real, and I'm excited for it. And I just want to continue, pouring that passion into it, and hopefully it catches fire, word of mouth. If you like it, tell a friend to tell a friend. You know what I mean?
I will also put a link to it in the show notes for this. So if you guys want, you'll have a link there as well. Um, do you have any final thoughts for me before we get you off of here?
Um, No, man, I just hopefully you guys can feel how passionate I am about this story. I've gotten to do some amazing, amazing things with my career. Like I've worked with Will Smith, Big Sean is one of my best friends. I've toured with him. I've been a creative at Disney.
Yeah.
I've done corporate. I've done some amazing things, but this is truly the thing that I'm most proud of in my career.
Yeah.
It's the thing that I've had most creative freedom and control over because I created it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you've liked or loved anything that I've done in my career,
Yeah.
like give this a read, give it a shot, give it a chance. If you want to know what I think of superheroes or what I would do, it's all in here. And so, and my last thought is just stick with it. You know what I mean? This is just book one. If anything, you're gonna have to get the first two issues. And if you're really not fucking with it after two issues, you can stop reading. But I really think you will be.
Yeah.
But this is just this issue one is really like a part one, and the
Okay.
issue two is like a part two to the introduction of this story. So give it a shot, stick with it, and I appreciate everyone that listened to this or watched this interview and may already have the comic in their hands.
There
For
you
real, for real.
go. And people, if they want to follow this, they can find you on Instagram, right?
Yeah, we're at Phantom Force Comic. I myself am at Aaron.Coney, Aaron.Coney. And yeah, like you'll find Blake and next door Malik and everybody on that Phantom Force page. But yeah,
Awesome.
tap in
Awesome.
with it. We're
All right.
trying to break 1,000 followers. We have like 700 and something. So if we can crack that up
Close.
and get this party started, that would be
Yeah.
dope.
All right, Aaron, it has been great talking to you tonight. I will talk to you for a few more minutes after we end this recording, but we're going to say
Okay.
bye here for now. And again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure for real.
And we're back. Man, that was an exciting interview, Jared. I really enjoyed it through my nap and learning all the things about Phantom Force and the guest.
Well, and it was almost like you could see it in your dreams.
Ooh, I like how you did that there.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that
Yeah.
was a good time. Hope everybody else enjoyed it. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Yeah, thank your guest, Jared.
Yeah. Thank you, Aaron, for coming on the
Yeah.
show. I really had a good time talking to you, and hopefully we can get some more stuff done here in the future. I think he's one that might be a returning guest.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So,
You know what, Jared? You know what I forgot to mention?
what's
No,
that?
but I forgot to mention my background at the
You did. Yeah.
very beginning. People are just like, "What is this?" This is part of the cover of Vengeance issue number 4, or as I like to call Vengeance versus Bullet Shibito in part 1 of 2.
Hmm.
That's Bullet Shibito. See him in all his
So
glory.
cool.
Can you see that?
Eric
So
did such
cool.
an awesome job.
Eric did amazing job.
Yeah.
Cover artist for this as well. The full cover is even better. Check that out, originalgeek.org,
Yeah.
to get you a copy. Oh, actually, no, you can't get it from there. Go to our Facebook page,
Facebook.
facebook.com/originalgeekcomics. Whoops. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's roll on to the
Yeah.
rest. How you been? You good?
I'm doing good. Got
How's
some
the eyes?
I'm actually
I.
going to have to get a cornea transplant, and
Oh my
I'm
God. I
actually in the
did not know that. This
process.
is new information for me.
Yeah, bull butter. Anyways, so I've got to get that done. I've got some more testing to do and everything, but we will get there eventually. I don't know how that's going to look for the show. If I'm gonna have to take like some time off and stuff to recoup from that, but I should be okay. hopefully we'll get some stuff banked even to where maybe we won't even have any hiccups in the show. I mean, we've got
Hopefully.
some really cool interviews coming up. And here's something I like is not only am I scheduling interviews, but you're scheduling them now too.
Oh my God. Are
Yeah,
you kidding me? I'm scheduling interviews?
you are.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I was on a roll the other day, man. I was on
Yeah,
a
you
roll. I was
are.
like, I got an interview. And then like 20 minutes later, I was like, I got another one. It was like DJ Khaled, another one. Like it was crazy. What you drinking there, Diet Dr. Pepper?
Diet Dr. Pepper. Yeah. It's
Tastes just like regular Dr. Pepper, they say.
it pretty much does. Yeah. Yeah. I
All what,
I made a
17
switch. I was
flavors?
doing Diet Pepsi for a while, but I decided to
Mhm.
switch to some Diet Dr. Pepper for a little bit. Change things up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Uh Recently, I just finished the game Atom Fall
Oh,
on my PS5.
okay.
Really cool. It was some people. It's like an action survival RPG type game.
Hmm.
It's kind of like it has a lot of fall. It's kind of like a British Fallout in a way, but it's not like as large. There's not as like many locations, but it has a lot of comparisons to Fallout in a way. It's post-apocalyptic.
Gotcha.
Um, and has like this, mystery to it as well. Um, there's no romancing companion, so it's not totally like Fallout. I
Right.
actually talked about this with Melissa Flores.
That's right.
I can't
Yeah.
remember if it was on the show or after the show.
You did
Um,
talk about it during the show a little bit.
did
Yes.
I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. We talked for a bit before, after,
Yeah.
so
That's the way it
things
goes. You do these
blurs together.
episodes. Yeah. Yeah. You do the episodes and you talk to them a little bit before, and then you do, your whole episode. And then you talk to them more afterwards. You're like, wait a minute, where was this? Where did it come in at? So yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed the game, man. It wasn't like a super long game.
Hmm.
It was easy to like pick up and start playing though, and it really had this great mystery to it. You wake up and you're in this bunker, and then like you don't remember anything, and then you go out of the bunker, and then you have like five people and stuff, and then you're in this quarantine zone, and there's like
Okay.
all these different towns and stuff in the quarantine zone, and like there's this like red payphone and it
Hmm.
starts ringing and like you're in a British and the person on the phone tells you that you got to find the interchange and use it to get out or something and all this. Um, anyway, it's really cool with this mystery with the interchange and what happened and why there's a quarantine and how you're going to escape and all these people you could do jobs for to they can help you escape. And so I think there's a lot of multiple endings as well.
Okay.
So you can choose to, side with different people and stuff like that,
Nice.
like kind of like factions in a way
Yeah.
from Fallout. I really enjoyed it. So I'm kind of into, that post-apocalyptic type thing, and I love Fallout. So
So do they have almost like a Kaiser's Legion like they do in Fallout, Is there different when you say there's different factions and stuff, is it kind of like that same, you know?
it's like factions, but I guess the only like one faction technically is like a British. Well, there's a couple. There's like the army type character
Okay.
thing, um, and then like a British secret service type deal or something.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
and there's like um mercenary group, and then these people that are weird that worship this plant thing that they're in the woods and stuff like that. And you pretty much can join whoever you want. I
Yeah.
kind of like stuck to myself and listen to the voice on the phone.
So you saying that, like you said that there's like the army, and I'm like, okay, NCR. And then you said there's like
There's like a Brotherhood of
the
Steel,
Brotherhood of Steel.
there's
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean there's like
Okay.
the followers of the Atom,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's all this different stuff. I mean, so it has a lot of comparisons, and so to that, it's just like on a smaller scale in a
Okay.
way.
Okay.
And it has like some survival action elements
Right.
to it. But I
Right.
really enjoyed it mainly because
Okay.
for the story was great. And you
Yeah.
know me, I'm a big story guy, so
Right. Right. So I think you have another entry for us this week, don't you? For In the Stacks with Nick Helms.
I do in the stacks with Nick. If you listen to the previous episode, you know that I started that new segment that where we work on. Nick talks about other people's stuff or reviews other people's stuff or whatever it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Um,
He talks
I thought
about
that
other
was
people's stuff. Yeah.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I was like, I need a better name. And so I was like, I'm talking about books. And so I was like, I need something that, and I was like, maybe throw my name in it too, just because. Um, and I was like, in the stacks, like
There you
stacks of
go.
books,
Yep.
stacks of paper and like books, in the
Yep.
stacks
In
with
the
Nick.
stacks with a Nick.
So every episode, I'm gonna like review a book. Hopefully, it's independent books. So if you got independent books you want me to read, send them to giveadatapodcast@gmail.com or hit
Yeah.
us up on our socials. If you have something you want me to read or review, because I'll do that.
Right.
And but if I don't have something independent to read, then I'm going to read something, for my own collection.
Right.
And I actually had one when we tried to do that one episode. And I said, "Whoa, Jared," because I just finished a book this week, and I said, "Whoa, Jared, I'm not going to do that book that
Right.
we did for that episode."
Right.
Excuse me. I'm going to do a different book. And you were like, okay. I mean, what were you going to say? It's my segment. So, I mean, honestly. Uh, but so this is probably going to come backwards because I didn't mirror my video and it's too late now. So the book I read was Fantastic Land. That's Fantastic Land by Mike Bockoven. Bockoven?
Okay.
Bockoven.
Okay.
Bockoven. Bockoven.
Bockoven. Bockoven.
Bockoven.
Okay.
Bach oven. Sometimes I really just do the last names just like this over and over. Go back, listen to the other previous episode. I did the same thing. But anyway, so Fantastic Land. I was like, for one, it's about a theme park. I like theme parks. And it's like a horror thriller type book. And so I was like, cool. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you like a little bit of synopsis about it, the
Okay.
back on the book. I'm going to give you the back matter
Mm-hmm.
and tell you it's about 264 pages, by the way. Um, so, since the 1970s, Fantasticland has been the theme park where fun is guaranteed. But when a hurricane ravages the Florida coast and isolates the park, the employees find it anything but fun. 5 weeks later, the authorities who rescue the survivors encounter a scene of horror. Photos soon emerge online of heads on spikes outside of the rides and viscera and human bones littering the gift shops, breaking
Oh.
records for hits, views, likes, clicks, and shares. How could a group of survivors, mostly teenagers, commit such terrible acts? Presented as a fact-finding investigation in a series of first-person interviews, Fantastic Land pieces together the grisly set of events. Cut off from the world and left on their own, the teenagers soon form rival tribes who viciously compete for food, medicine, social dominance, and even human flesh.
Oh.
This new social network divides the ravaged dreamland into territories ruled by pirates, the shop girls, the freaks, and the mole people. If meticulously, that's a big, that's a big word for me. Curated online personas can replace private identities. What takes over when those constructs are lost? Fantastic Land is a modern take on Lord of the Flies meets Battle Royale that probes the consequences of a social civilization built online. For one, that just sounds amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah. They've
It
already got me. I already want to know what happens.
I saw it and then I read the back and I was like, well, I have to read this. For one, it
Yeah.
sounds really cool. So let me set it up for you, okay, Jared?
All right.
So cool. Just because, I mean, you got some of it, right? But
Yeah.
so Fantastic Land is the third theme park, which is not, it obviously this is fiction, right?
Right.
But
Right.
it plays it out like this is a biography or one of those, like
Oh.
a documentary, but in
Yeah.
book form.
Yeah.
I- Um, but it plays it off as everything's real
Okay.
that's in this book. And in this real world, in Florida, in real life, we have Disney World and Universal Studios.
Right.
Well, back in the 1970s, this guy named Johnny Fresno decided that he was going to build a theme park too,
Oh,
called
okay.
Fantastic Land. So, and then then we're set in modern times. And basically Fantastic Land is, the a huge theme park and stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's like I believe I can't remember, it's like Tampa or Daytona Beach. I apologize. for not knowing exactly where it is, but it's close to the beach, like the coast line, right?
Okay.
And so like it's like this huge deal. So I mean, it's just right on par with Disney and Universal.
Yeah.
Okay. So you pretty much know what happened. That hurricane comes, it floods, cuts them off, and so the one of the guy, Johnny Fresno's right hand man, um, made all this like a plan just in case it flooded. So they had like this like big ass fucking book of like this survival thing. And he
Right.
implemented this system that if a flood ever came or a hurricane or something like that, that there was going to be all these, I can't remember what the group was called, but a group of employees would stay at the park,
Okay.
and that they had like underground bunkers and they had like all these uh, places for food and all this stuff that they could use for emergency purposes. So
Uh-huh.
that way, if there were to get something happen, they would be okay.
Yeah.
They could stay at the park, instead of like looters and stuff like that coming, stuff like that. They would
Right.
protect the park, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when the hurricane comes, the people, a bunch of people get out, everybody gets evacuated except for like the 300 and something people that stayed,
Okay.
that were employees,
Uh-huh.
stayed. And so basically, the book, tells the story of these employees that were there for 5 weeks. And the reason why the National Guard didn't come then because the like the corporate people of FantasticLand like said, they're fine. So it was like a low priority because it was a
Okay.
really bad hurricane and lots of flooding and saving people. And so you got to like National Guard and stuff, you got to make like a list of, what's our
Okay.
highest priority, what's our lowest priority, And
Right.
so
Right.
Fantastic Land, the employees are fine, right? Everybody's fine. They got food, they got shelter, they're gonna be okay
Yeah.
until they're not okay. And so like I read the back, it's a warring factions and stuff. The really cool thing about this, Jared, is that it's told through like the person that's interviewing. So so in the interviews, so you had on last week's guest, the Power Ranger writer, right?
Yeah.
That wrote that
Yeah.
Power Ranger book. He
Joshua
wrote that
Moore.
book. Yeah. He had interviews with people and then put
Right.
the information into the thing. Well,
Right.
in this book, there's a fake author, right?
Okay.
Who's writing this, and he had interviews with people, and what he did is he took the interviews that he had with people and he made each chapter be an interview, but it's not like question and answer and stuff like that. It basically telling like a mini story on
Gotcha.
each
Okay.
chapter,
Okay.
which is an interview. And so you just basically start of what happened beforehand, the history, and then it starts getting into talking to people that were at the park and like this learning the crazy things that happened there. It's all told through these interview type style things. It is
Okay.
so cool, dude. And then at the end, then it's like a what all happened and stuff like that. It's crazy. The craziest stuff happens in here. And I just like the way that it's set up, man, because I've never read a book like this
Yeah.
that's set up this way,
Yeah.
that it's like a fictional person doing a fictional biography documentary in book form. And
Right.
dude, I love this. I love this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
I honestly, I have no complaints with this book whatsoever. The only complaint was if I was going to give it is, gosh, I wanted more. uh, and it would be really cool if this got adapted because and obviously if it got adapted, you couldn't do the interviews type style, but it would be cool to like see like the stuff actually happening,
Right. Right.
instead of just hearing stories about it, like seeing that on a screen would be really cool. Um,
Yeah. So what's coming in mind when I hear you say that is almost the style of Saw
yeah.
in the aspect of you have the story that's going on, the person, the main
Hmm.
character, but then all the really weird, messed up things that happen to people is like a secondhand telling of the story, and they
Hmm.
were in it is you see it as it's happening almost as it did. So you've got the one person who's gathering all this information, you know, and then they could then it would go into the scene and show what actually happened that
Yeah, it
with
would
the
be really cool if if I was adapting this,
yeah
as a writer who writes comic books and has written TV scripts and stuff like this before.
yeah
Um, what I would think would be cool is like at the very beginning, like it's like set up, it's like the interview, like
Right.
me of the interview person, you being the person I'm interviewing,
Yeah.
and you start telling me the story of what happened, and then
Right.
it like does like a little sequence to where, and then we actually see the stuff happening,
Yes.
where it's
Yeah.
not being told, but we see it, and then
Right.
at the end of the episode, it goes back to the interview, and the person ends the interview, so it's like
Gotcha.
bookend on
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
actual show. So it's kind of like set up as a documentary being thing, but then we
Mhm.
actually see it as like a show in the show in a sorts.
Right. Yeah. No, that's kind of what.
Reality in between a show or something. Like I
Yeah.
don't really know how to explain it, but it would be pretty cool.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. So yeah.
And out of 5 stars, I'm gonna
Okay.
give Fantastic Land 4.5 stars out of 5. I want to give anything a 5 just mainly because it's perfect,
Yeah.
and nothing's perfect. So we're just gonna give 4.5's the most I'm ever gonna give.
Yeah.
So I really loved it, man. I loved it so much. I found him on Instagram. Uh, yeah, and we haven't had any conversation, me and this author, about
Right.
potential stuff
Right.
at all.
Not at all.
Definitely,
No.
definitely did not book him for an interview. I can tell you that much.
What? Who would do that? I mean,
That seems dumb. I mean, I know I scheduled
I
2 interviews yesterday, but
right,
or the
right.
other day,
Yeah.
but they're totally unrelated. I'm totally not going to talk to him on June
Totally
24th at
something
9
else.
p.m.
All right. So
Oh, a really fun thing. Sorry, real quick.
you're
I
good. Yeah.
apologize.
Yeah.
There's other books that he's written. You
Okay.
can find them all. You can find them on. He has a Facebook, Bockoven Books, on Facebook. You can buy, the books in different
Okay.
places. But he has other books that he's written that are not like this. But he's got a new book coming out in July that is in the same sense, but something happens at this theater.
Okay.
And it's written by the fake Jake Littles, or no, something Jakes is the guy's name,
Okay.
um the author.
Okay.
So yeah, and so it's like a not like a sequel to this book in a way, well I guess kind of, but has nothing to do with Fantastic Land, but it's another crazy thing happens in the world, and that the author in this
Okay.
book does another book.
Okay. Okay. I like that. So he's created a universe kind of there.
Adam Jakes is the name of the fake author, Adam
Okay.
Jakes.
Okay. All right.
But anyway, yeah, that's coming out in July. So,
So I have a question for you.
okay.
Do you ever do audiobooks?
I do.
Okay.
I have listened to audiobooks.
Okay.
It's not like, I have a lot of time. I used to have a lot more time, driving back and
Right.
forth
Right.
from here
Yeah.
to uh down south.
Yep.
So now I do listen to audiobooks,
But not as
just not
often.
as much. But
Gotcha.
I think once work to where I'm doing my actual job at work, I'm training with
Yeah.
my job in a way. Once I start doing all that done of that basic training and I do my actual position,
Yeah.
and I'll be able to do my position where I'm not talking to people on the phone and stuff like that. I'll be able to
Right.
listen to headphones, and I'll be able to
Yeah.
listen, and probably still listen more audiobooks. Like I just finished an audiobook
Okay.
uh like last week.
Uh,
So
I say that because there's one of my favorite ones.
mhm.
And it's actually five different books and everything.
Okay.
And I'm gonna send it to you, and I want you to listen to them and tell me what you think. And I think
Okay.
that would be a fun something fun we could do on here because then we could nerd out together. It's sci-fi and it's kind of it's really cool. So I'll just leave it at that, but I'll send it to you, and we'll see what you think of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sci-fi is not my book genre, but I'll give it a go.
It's different. I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah,
It's good
don't tell
stuff.
me.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't tell me. I don't normally. I try to go into stuff as blind as possible.
yeah, yeah.
So.
Okay. Well,
Not as
thank.
blind as you, like with your
Hey,
eye
hey, hey,
problems.
hey, hey! I'm fixing that. I'm getting that fixed. So
Okay.
then you can just call me Mr. Deadeye. So
That was a very nice voice there. I really like that.
I was channeling my inner Creek Wilson with his, yeah,
That was who I was picturing it when you said that voice. I was picturing
yeah,
our buddy Creek.
our buddy
So,
Creek. Yeah.
our buddy
Um,
Creek.
that's right. We've had some pretty cool times with him,
Yeah.
We actually met him at a con in Texas, and then we got to hang out with him at a con in Oklahoma. And so I'm hoping
My
we'll be
favorite
able.
Yeah,
Go
I hope
ahead.
we see him soon. But my favorite part of that one is whenever you took a picture with him, and then
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, Creek, come take a picture with me." And he's like, "No." And I said, "Get your ass up and take a picture with me." And he said, "Okay, then." Got up.
And he's like this very intimidating looking dude too, and so it's
Scariest.
like,
If you've seen Twisted Metal,
mm-hmm.
Mr. Slam,
Yep. Yep.
you should know
Mm-hmm.
who that is. If you've seen Twisted Metal, that's
Yep.
Creek.
That's
And I said
Creek.
that to him. That he's a much bigger man than me, and I was like, I didn't even know him that well, but I was just like,
Right, right.
oh well.
Well, and in talking about that, we we're kind of transitioning into the end part of the show here. And we have
We're
an
coming up on
event.
a close.
We're coming up on a close. Look at it. Yeah. So uh, that experience, us going to that con, has actually led to the one that we're going to this coming as this airs, it's going to be that this coming weekend. And we're going to Kansas City Animeverse, and it was at WrestleFest, is what it's called.
It's Wrestleverse. It's Animeverse Kansas City, then
Yeah,
slash Wrestleverse.
WrestleVerse. Okay.
It's
And
two cons in one.
we're going to that at the KC Expo Center, and I'm excited. I've been
Super
looking
excited.
over the amount of people that are going to be there that I would
So
love to get on this
crazy.
show.
Man, I got a list. Like I'm
Yeah,
gonna prioritize it
yeah,
on the drive there. We got a 3 hour drive,
yep.
and we should make a list of like. Well, we know who number one is.
What?
So
Obviously, yeah, yeah, yep.
everybody under Vegeta is
Right, yeah. They're
Vegeta.
secondary. Yep,
Everybody else.
yep, yep.
So that's the list.
That's the list.
That's the
Vegeta.
list. That's
Yeah.
Vegeta.
It's
Everybody
just
else.
in bold print at the top of the paper.
Vegeta.
Vegeta. Yeah.
Rest of
So
the people.
that's right.
But lots of great names. So lots of good people are going to be there. So hopefully we can go fishing and get some guests. So
Yes.
hopefully we'll have some cool announcements. You'll know if Jared is like super happy for like going forward on these next episodes if we get
Yeah.
Vegeta.
Right. Right. I'm gonna
You'll
come on show. Hey guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, we had a great time at
It was
Animeverse.
so cool.
It
Yeah.
was so fun. It was so fun. Uh, man.
But yeah, if you guys are looking to find something else to listen to while you're
Besides us.
waiting on another episode to drop, we have two podcast networks that we are a part of. And that is the OIW Podcasting Network and the Zio to Hero Podcasting Network. They both have amazing shows that you can find on there. In fact, the funny thing is, we had Joshua Moore on our episode last week. Well, Billy and Jim from the Zio to Hero podcast also had him on their show last week. So
Oh,
if you want to hear some of the things that we didn't get to talk about with Josh, you can go over there and listen to that. But got some really cool stuff, all different kinds of really cool shows that you can find on there.
yeah. Yeah, and just basically it's more chaos
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Billy and Jim's. So if you want more
right.
chaos with your Joshua Moore, listen to our episode, then go listen to theirs.
There you go.
This is our podcast, so listen to ours first. Uh, but other things that you can listen to are brother podcasts.
That's
Like
right.
if you give a data cosplay with Cosplay Dude 637, right?
Yep. Yep. You got that
And
right.
then if you give a data YouTube channel with Ty Tiger,
Yes.
both great podcasts that you can listen to. So if you really want to build a cosplay or you really want to make a YouTube channel, those two guys will help you out. So check
That's
them out.
right. Yeah. They've all the time coming out with new content. I believe that Ty did like a 30-day vlog of posting content, and he made that for his If You Give a Dad a YouTube channel on there. And they also do, little stuff like, I would really like to get a better camera. What's one that I can get that won't break the bank? Little videos like that. And so, yeah, check those guys out. If you like what we're doing here and you want to do something a little more, go ahead and check them out as well.
Yeah, for sure. And if you like listening to things, don't forget to listen to D-Cure.
That's right.
He's everywhere that you listen to music. You can find his music in
Hmm.
so many places. He's done a lot of great music. Jared's mentioned this before, and now I'm also going to correct you, Jared. Jared's mentioned this before, but he's been doing these like mixtape album type deals,
Yep.
where he's been going through the alphabet And whenever he first told me about it, Jared, I thought it was like this one's called A, this one's called B, but it's like A was like alpha, B is something else, like it's
Yeah.
the name, so it starts with it. And
Yeah.
he's not on S, he's on R.
Actually, 8 hours
Um,
ago, he just posted S, and it is called Scout.
First off, that's cheating. So whenever I planned this to talk about this on this episode, he hadn't put S out yet. So technically, you were wrong the last time you told me.
You're
You may
wrong.
be right now,
Yeah.
but past Jared was definitely wrong. Good
Yeah.
job, present Jared. But when you listen to this, it'll be past Jared. So who knows? Past Jared was right and wrong. And time travel.
Time travel.
Where's Uncle Luke when you need him?
I don't know. Luke and his mustache need to come tell us how to do time travel.
Yeah, we've mentioned a lot about Original Geek in this episode with my background
Yep.
and stuff like that, but also and Vengeance of where you can, we can buy that.
That thing in your
But
background there, what you
yeah,
got there.
yeah. So if you really like this, find us on our socials. You can find it on our link tree, um, and you can click on the Original Geek link tree. We can
Yep.
get all of our stuff, like our merch that's made by Stickers by Stasia, Jared's wife, who
That is
also does the merch for If You Give a Dad a Podcast.
that is my wife.
My wife, very nice. High five.
High
Wait, I almost high
five.
fived the microphone. What the? Totally okay.
But yeah, she's makes all kinds of stickers. She makes shirts. She makes all kinds of really cool stuff. She you know, uh, started out it was just a little hobby, and then I started doing this, and she was like, "Well, I can make your merch for you." I was like, "Heck yeah! I ain't got to outsource it or anything. It's right
Yeah.
here in house." So But one thing that I would like you guys to do for us, and that is rate and review this show. If you like what's going on here, make sure that you go out there and tell us. Give us a 5-star review if you're listening on Spotify, if you're listening on Apple, any of those places. Make sure you give us a review. If you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, that you like this episode, that you share it as well.
Share it with
Share.
everybody, your friends, your family, your enemies. That weird carny at the fair that comes. Fair, you
Yeah,
like that?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
At the that comes and he's got like three teeth and stuff like that. But I love carnies as well.
Yeah.
Because Craig used to be a carnival folk worker and he's a good man.
Okay, yeah.
So
Except
see,
for one.
it's just that one good
Yeah.
guy that's
Yeah.
running the Ferris wheel.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? They might find something that they like on here too. Hey, maybe they like comic books. Maybe they like Power Rangers or something. So, tell them about it as well. Um, but we are coming up at the end of this episode. And yeah, I
I
know.
feel like we missed something, but no, not what you're doing now. Don't worry about that. I'm sure we missed something else, but we didn't. So thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. It's been another great episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. You're doing the thing, aren't you?
So, Nick,
Mhm.
people always talk about the eye of the tiger, but they never talk about the other 4 letters.
Okay.
All right. I love you guys. We love you guys.
There you go. Man, I was about to say, I swear you better say it.
We
Come on,
will.
man. Fill it back in.
All right. Um, we hope that you have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time. Bye.